So Mark, you were brought out into this block kind of with the thoughts of turning it around a little bit and the theme of sustainable ag. What did you see out here? What was the prognosis, and what have you seen this year?
This is the first year, a complete year on the program, using UltraGrow formulations and customizing those formulations and treatments for this citrus ranch. This is in West Fresno County, and it's really responded well. Out in Fresno County, we deal with a number of issues that are a challenge for sustainable agriculture. So we've got issues in the water, boron and sodium, and when we can't blend with our district water, if the water allocation is short, that's a challenge because the wells are not that clean. So that's a challenge. We can have residual of that causing problems to the cropping situation, and so we're facing that while we're trying to grow the crop too. And so it's kind of like you're walking a line between amending and growing a crop. And so those are challenges, but by pulling tissue, by testing the water, and by pulling soil tests regularly, what we're seeing is a real good response, even in 1 year's time, with a good crop and good size, getting good pack out and not sacrificing volume at the same time as getting quality. And what we're finding is that we're seeing more efficient use of water. This field specifically, and the neighboring fields as well, only needed 29 inches of water to grow this crop. And in citrus terms, that's pretty impressive, pretty efficient. And the grower's using a water monitoring situation so that he gets maximum efficiency. All of the nutrition, other than foliar applications, goes through the micro-irrigation system. And so it's got to also work in that regard and be compatible. And we are able to help him in that regard too. The other thing is that we've had issues on some of these blocks with chlorosis, and some of the commercial materials that have an analysis that says that's what you need, that's what you should put, aren't working. And our formulations have been able to help him to remedy that.
Okay, and what did you put out in this field for the 2012 growing season?
This field specifically got a special custom mix of UltraGrow soil treatment and Thioplex, and we then tailored the UltraGrow 217-17 application to the density of the planting and the size of the trees and the cropping history.
What do you feel some of the significant results that you see now that you're happy with over this year's growing period are you noticing now?
A good crop this year for the volume of the crop overall. The size is good without sacrificing one for the other, and our bud work is looking really good for next year too. Bloom's just around the corner and looks really good.
And you feel that you've set these trees up now for an even more productive next growing season?
Yeah, that's a simple way to say it. I think maybe more, the way I think about it is in terms of less ebb and flow year to year. Alternate bearing is becoming less of an issue. And so we're seeing more consistent cropping.
Here we are in a block of wine grapes. We're in Shandon, California, and with one of our top salesmen, Craig Swetlin, and wine grape expert. And Craig, when you were put on this is a block of new plantings. What was the analysis and what needed to be done out here?
Actually, to be truthful, I didn't analyze this soil, but this is probably the fourth year this grower's given me new plantings, and he's been so pleased with the results that we've gotten that I've just made a recommendation generally of a gallon of soil treatment after they came out of dormancy. These were planted in April of 2012, and we put a gallon of soil treatment on shortly after they came out of dormancy, and then we followed that up a few weeks later with 4 gallons of 8-16-8. And really good vigor. You know, it's hard to see a lot. Right now, here's one that we took the grow tubes off.
Okay.
That there's multiple shoots. They've got good girth at the graft union, and they'll prune these back to 2 buds here shortly for this coming growing season. And all the new plantings we've done in this area, they've been able to get trained out to full cordon length in the second year, and in the third year get a commercially viable crop.
Okay, and I assume then, growers really get excited when they see that many shoots coming out that they've got a choice.
Yeah, it gives them choice. It shows vigor, and you always consider what's below ground. The root system is pretty representative of what you're seeing on top. And this whole block is uniform. As you look out, you see many of the shoots that are up to the catch wires already. And getting a good root system in the first growing season really sets them up to perform in the years to come. And everybody's after a crop as soon as they can get it with the big demand for wine grapes right now.
And with all your experience in vineyards, from table grapes to wine grapes, your experience, it's really establishing that good root growth and getting a great root base established that really pushes the growth on top.
Yes, I think these soils are conducive to good vigor here, but it's quite sandy, and with our soil treatment, I think it's helping improve the structure and the organic matter, and helping to create that root system that's going to drive any permanent planting.
You're finding with Ultra Grow products too that your growers are pulling abundant crops off very early.
Well, you don't want to drive any permanent crop too quickly, but I think it's reasonable to get 3 or 4 tons in the third growing season if everything's working right, and nutrition certainly is an important part of that.
I'd say your growers are pretty happy with Ultra Grow.
They are, and this is a big management company, and they give me more acres every year, and I'm excited to be working with them and seeing the vineyards prosper.
Hi, this is Dennis Logs. This is Tulare County irradiational frost night. As you can see and hear, the wind machines are running. It is dawn, the coldest time of day. This is what citrus growers dread the most, is right at dawn. That's when the temperatures drop dramatically, the coldest part of the night. As you can see, wind machines are running, water's running, and what else can you do to protect your crop from freezing? Crop Shield in 217-17. It gives you that additional edge that'll help you through a long, tough night.
So Dennis, it looks like with the cold weather, these trees survived very, very well.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with how these trees turned out. I got to 23 degrees here about 2 nights ago. And if you can look right here on some of the new growth on this tree, it's very tender. And you can see it got a little bit of burn, but overall not very much. A lot of that's based on our Crop Shield in 217-17. It gives that tree that additional strength, plus to fight the cold weather. With the wind machines and water, it just gives you an extra edge. And as you can see, the beautiful crop, the fruit's not frozen, the foliage looks excellent. It's just a win-win situation if you're a citrus grower.
And Dennis, it seems that we're standing on the edge here in the borders, and a lot of farmers have to kind of sacrifice the fruit on the border just because they know it's going to freeze out. We're on the edge, and it still survived very well.
That is correct. I've been around all over Tulare County cutting fruit, lemons, navels, and mandarins. And yes, I've seen some damage out there. And so when I see this, I'm very excited and very happy for the owner of this field. He'll do well.
Here we are on a block of almonds in Chowchilla with crop nutrition specialist, Mr. Derek Sissom and Brian Cook. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I just kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit and talk about what you and Derek went through out here. And when Derek first came out here, what was the initial plan of attack to find out what needed to be done on your orchard?
We pretty much went through some soil samples and some tissue samples before we really made a concrete recommendation, but the first things we jumped into was using the 217-17 foliar.
And Derek, when you took your soil samples and then your petiole samples, putting together the pieces of the puzzle, it's kind of just working with the grower and then finding out what they've done and what they plan on doing to get the yields that they're hoping for.
Yeah, we took on the soil samples, the first thing that jumped out was the calcium to magnesium ratios out of balance, and potassium to sodium. So that was one of the things we wanted to target. So we did that with our soil treatment Thioplex for the calcium, and then also the 217-17 for the potassium.
And speaking with Brian before, the 217-17, that P&K sure seems to be working really well out here.
Yeah, we've put it in the ground and also subsidized it foliar. Getting enough potassium in there to offset the sodium in the ground, so we're not picking up salt and chlorides in the trees later on in the summer and helping them keeping the leaves green and on all the way through harvest.
Well, Brian, when you first started using Ultra-Grow products, did you find that in previous applications of other products you weren't quite realizing the yields you had hoped to yield out here?
I can't honestly say that because the trees were young. I can tell you that all through harvest, most of this whole orchard was defoliated by the time we got the harvest in. Now, we're probably at most maybe 20%. So we've managed to retain 80%, which is very beneficial as far as post-harvest foliators.
Are you noticing bigger yields now from year to year with your almonds?
Great yields. We went from 1,700 on non-parels to 2,800 the past year. The caramels are up to 3,600. So I honestly believe we can probably maintain that average.
Brian, you really like to track not only what you're putting in the soil, but making sure that it's getting into the trees. Are you finding greater uptake now with the solubility of Ultra-Grow products?
Very much so. If you look at the soil samples, most of them are deficient, but the tissue samples or petal samples, all the product is in the tree where it needs to be.
Derek, are you finding that now that you've got things amended and the yields keep getting bigger, that it's almost getting more towards maintenance mode than having to amend as much anymore and just keeping those yields where they need to be?
Yeah, well, I think we're we've got several years of soil and tissue samples now, so we know what areas we're targeting. I've got, Brian's got a good program going. Starts off late January, early February with a soil application of 217-17 for phosphorus for the tree to give some energy to get through bloom, and then we start off with foliar 217-17 and then come in with some calcium foliar with our 7077, and then also come back in springtime with the ground application of either our Thioplex or our 7077 with the potassium and calcium, and then another little shot of 217-17 foliar when we get into mite spray and whole split for a little bud differentiation for this crop here. And then post-harvest, we'd also put, 2 years ago we did foliar applications of 217-17 and ground application of soil treatment Thioplex. This year we went a little heavier dose of 217-17, just put it in the ground, and then also soil treatment Thioplex in the ground.
Well, Brian, it sounds like it's safe to say that a good grower like yourself that keeps track of everything that's happening in his orchard, you're pretty happy with Ultra-Grow.
I'm very happy with Ultra-Grow. I believe it's everything they say it is. Obviously, our yields are fantastic. I anticipate on being able to manage the same average yields. As far as the soil amendments, as the yields go up, obviously we're going to use more product. We're going to keep replenishing that tree until we find out where the maximum of the tree is. So it's I'm very upbeat about this.
Here we are, Tulare County, in a block of tangos. So, Dustin, when you came onto this block, what was some of the first things you saw, and what were some of the growers' concerns?
When I first came onto the block, these trees were just planted. It's about 4 years ago. The concern was just getting these trees, the root system healthy, getting the trees up, good caliper on the trunks, and setting them up to set a good crop as early as possible.
What was the typical program for a year that you did to these trees to get them to this kind of production?
Initially, we started them off with the soil treatment Thioplex program. We were putting about 10 gallons out to the acre, gallon of soil treatment. Sat back, watched how that worked, and then we based what we did on an NPK micronutrient on the soil type, and just went with that.
So for trees that are about 5 years old, I'd say your grower's pretty darn happy with the crop that you've set.
They are very happy. This is a wonderful crop. We just came off of 23-degree weather 2 nights ago. If you look at the tree as a whole, you see very little stress involved. The crop made it through very well. As you can see, we have a tremendous crop set on these trees. Good quality, good size.
And for the amount of nutrients that you put on this tree, I still think it's very profitable for this grower.
Oh, extremely profitable. The amount of nutrients we actually put on this tree was very minimal. We only put on here what the plant called for. We based that off of water analysis, off of tissue analysis, and off of soil analysis. We combine those all together. And then, just out here looking at the trees, what do they need? That's what we do.
So it's not just a typical program that you say this is what we're going to do for the year. It's all based on the analysis that you pull, so you can custom design a program for your grower.
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it.
Here we are on a block of walnuts east of Visalia with Ultra Grow salesman Frank Caceres. And Frank, what was the first analysis when you came out of this block?
We did a soil analysis out here, and the results came back as this is a very sandy block. It does not have trouble taking water, but it does have trouble holding moisture in the rhizosphere and the root zone. It also has trouble holding nutrients in that root zone as well.
Okay, so what was the typical program after your analysis, what you thought would be most beneficial to amend the soil?
What we did is we did a combination of a soil treatment and Thioplex from Ultra Grow out here. What we were able to do because of this is we were able to suppress some of the sodium issues that were out here, utilizing the irrigations to press that sodium down, and now we were able to hold better moisture. And with the soil treatment, we were able to unlock a lot of nutrients that over the years had been locked up in the soil.
This is a 9-year-old block, and last year was the first year of full program of Ultra Grow. And what were the results of the growing season?
Well, what we did out here is we also, in combination with amending the soil, we had a foliar program as well. We were able to come in with our Ultra Grow 7-14-7 during bloom with a combination of zinc and manganese as well. The results of that was a much heavier set in addressing the minor nutrients, as well as getting a good flush of growth with the 7-14-7. Later on in the season, we were able to combine our 2-17-17 with a coddling moth application that was able to ride along with that. So we were able to save a ride as well as supply the needed potassium in order to fill those nuts out.
And in a 7-14-7 program and 2-17-17, it's not just NPKs that the Ultra Grow product is supplying to these trees.
Absolutely not. There's a full battalion of minor nutrients involved in that, as well as other minor nutrients, chelated form minor nutrients that we are supplying in the foliars as well.
And it usually is tough on the first growing cycle to really see a difference, but did the grower actually realize better results once harvest came in?
And after our first year full program, we were able to discover we had over 1/4 of a ton, so over 500 pounds to the acre of yield. That these are notoriously right around 1.5 to 1 3/4 ton right now, and we were able to push that up over 2.
And you noticed that after that first growing cycle and what you're going to do again this year, that you've even changed some of the soil profile.
Absolutely. We're able to hold a lot more moisture. The trees did not lose their leaves as early as they normally do. We were able to hold on to green leaf, and we all know if we can do that for a much longer period of time, the better off the tree is going to be.
So I'm guessing too, in getting those kind of results and seeing how healthy these trees are and what they look like throughout the growing cycle, that this grower's pretty happy with the results that Ultra Grow provided.
Absolutely. We're going to be even more aggressive here in this 2013.
And Mark, where are we and what did you do here last year?
Hey, we're out in West Fresno County. This is one of our tomato fields. Obviously we're dormant, so all we got is just the soil bedded up. But last year this field, if you look at most growers, they're using 3 foot of water to grow a crop, 40 inches of water to grow a tomato crop. This field, we used 32 inches, so we gained a lot of efficiency by using sustainable practices with our Ultra Grow products. Gave us a lot of efficiency with our nutrients too. What we're seeing is over time is improved soil tilth, better nutrient utilization, and water management. And this field actually went a long time after the water shut off for a number of reasons. It actually went close to right at 45 days since the water was shut off before they harvested. And we still averaged across all the fields, this one included in that, over 60 tons. The beautiful thing was we found out later about 150 units of nitrogen is all they were using. So we're seeing a lot of improved efficiencies as we've been doing the things we're doing customized for this grower for the last number of years. And so we're seeing is a accumulated effect, and that's a real benefit to the grower, putting on what's needed when needed in order to be more profitable.
A block of almonds on the west side of Madera with a very good grower that was excited about using Ultra Grow last season. And in the fall we came in to deal with some water penetration issues. He'd been using gypsum, and our soil treatment program mixed with Thioplex give a much better solubility of calcium and sulfur to actually increase the water penetration. We've noticed with our soil samples that we've brought the sulfur levels up significantly, and his pH is right where he wants it to be. So what we're attempting to do this spring is we're going to put another application of soil treatment down at 1 gallon and 5 gallons of Cal 9 to get a little better water penetration and get some soluble calcium into the root zone. And then we're coming back in with 5 gallons in the ground of 7-14-7 Plus, which has a double minor package. And we've also got a seaweed extract in there with a 300-to-1 auxin to cytokinin ratio. The auxins are going to push massive root growth, and then that in turn will help the cytokinins actually up through the leaves to get better leaf expansion. So we're looking for much better nutrient absorption. And then we'll come back through with 2-17-17 Plus that has a minor package as well to increase those calcium levels. And we're actually looking forward to an even greater return on production out here. This grower's done an amazing job, but we think we can really bring up production quite a bit better and make the trees even healthier than they are already. And timing is absolutely perfect to get that water penetration issues handled. Get the water down now when the spring rains come. We're already at bud swell, so things are happening and the bees are flying and the trees are looking absolutely beautiful. So really excited to show what Ultra Grow's capable of out here on these almonds.